All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pozios Picks. In today's episode, we are breaking down the upcoming college football season. To help me out with that, we've got Parker. Parker, welcome.
Thank you, my
for
brother.
coming. And Kevin, both repeat guests, right? Or is it? No, repeat guests. You guys have both been on before. Welcome back. Really, really excited for this college football season. And like we were saying before, the last college football season with some tradition until things kind of get all thrown out the window next year. So just to give you guys kind of an outline of the episode before we get into it, we're going to go over some conference champions, some of our favorite win total futures, some season player props, some Heisman sprinkles, and then just a couple extra plays before we give out our national championship picks. So without further ado, let's just get right into the conference champions. All right, so first conference we're going to go over is the ACC. My personal pick for the ACC is a bit controversial, but Parker and I have kind of been talking about this one. I love Florida State, plus 170. You're getting Jordan Travis back. The front seven on defense is elite. You got Verse and Deloach up top. Clemson's going to be really, really good as well. But I think the play of Jordan Travis and the rest of that Florida State offense and Keon is going to carry them. Parker, what do you think? Because I know you like Florida State.
Yeah, I got the same thing as you, Theo. I love Florida State. I think personally, whoever wins that first game against them in LSU, they've got a pretty good ride to potentially go to the playoff. But I think Florida State actually takes that game because of the reasons you just said. They got an elite D-line with Verse. I mean, first-team preseason All-American.
Yeah.
And they got that good, what's his name, Benson, the running back?
Yeah.
He's kind of shifty, too. But, yeah, like you said, Keon Coleman transferred there, pretty productive receiver last year. And then Johnny Wilson, the massive 6'6", 230-pound receiver. Throw up to him in the end zone, he can catch anything. I mean, and, of course, Jordan Travis, he's an elite playmaker, running the ball and throwing the football. So I like Florida State, and I like them to beat Clemson in the ACC championship game.
Yeah, I like that. Kevin?
Yeah, so I have Clemson beating Florida State in the regular season, and then I have Florida State bouncing back revenge in the title game. To talk about Keon Coleman really quick, he produced with Peyton Thorne. Just watch what he's going to do with Jordan Travis. I think he's going to have a big year. And I think Florida State, they ended the year winning 7 of their last 8 last year, so they got some momentum. I got Florida State taking the conference.
I like it. Clemson's kind of like a more of the square pick. I think Clemson's going to be really, really good defensively, especially. But they got to get some things going. They got to work in some new things, new coordinator. Yeah. So
they still have a good quarterback. I think they have Cade.
Yeah, Klubnik.
Cade Klubnik.
Shipley's still at running back.
Yeah.
That's why I think they take the first game in South Carolina, and then they lose
Yeah,
that championship game.
They got Shipley, but I don't know. I'm not sold on Cade Klubnik. I mean, he's only played one game so far, really started. And, I mean, he didn't play that well last year against Tennessee, so he's kind of unproven, and they don't really have any wide receivers that I can name. So,
Good point.
That's going to be an interesting conference, really top-heavy, though. I saw some people talking about Louisville because Louisville kind of has a cakewalk of a schedule. I think they avoid both of these teams in the regular season, but I mean, they're not going to win. They're not going to win the conference championship. They'll be good. Louisville win total might be something to look at if you're interested in that. But
I'm staying away from Louisville.
Yeah,
same.
That's a weird team too. Anyway, all right, here we go. The moment probably a lot of people have clicked on this video. We're going to get into the Big Ten. Okay, I'm just go with my pick first. I'm taking Michigan to win the Big Ten plus 180. I think experience wins them the conference and eventually, not the championship game, but the game. Ohio State's really talented, but they're going to have a tougher schedule going into the game, and then they're going to have to rely on an inexperienced quarterback in Ann Arbor to win them that game, which, C.J. Stroud wasn't able to do either. So I think the running back tandem, obviously best in the country. The O-line, you do lose some production, but you bring in a transfer. The O-line's going to be solid. I think Michigan takes care of business and wins the conference. Kevin, I'm sure you have a lot to say about this.
This is the moment I've been waiting for. Obviously, a hell of a let me turn this off. Obviously, a hell of a year last year. I mean, they won 13 games for the first time in program history, return pretty much everyone, all their notable guys.
Yeah.
Not only that, but they add 8 transfers. So they add 2 guys on the line just to kind of show how like really good they're going to be. They have 18 guys on the, what's it called? The, not the All-American. What is it that they play typically end of the year? Whatever it is, but they have 18 guys that are invited to that.
The Senior Bowl.
The Senior Bowl,
Oh,
thank
there
you.
you go. Good,
18
Parker.
guys. So a few weeks ago, Harbaugh was like, we might beat Georgia with, the record for guys drafted, which is 20. I don't think it's going to happen, but people were like,
It's not going to
crazy.
happen. I'm just going
It's probably not going to happen.
It
But
won't
you have
happen.
18 guys invited to the Senior Bowl. That shows how senior you are. So with the experience, with the schedule, only thing I see is Penn State on the road. That's going to be tough. Penn State's going to be really good. Ohio State at home, we beat them 2 times in a row, but that's going to be a tough game, right? You have some trap games. You have at Nebraska, at Minnesota. These are 2 teams that are well coached. Now Nebraska brings in Matt Rule. Minnesota's got row the boat idiot,
PJ
and then PJ Fleck. And then obviously Michigan State. I think we pound you guys, but it's still a trap game. That's the only game that matters for them on the schedule. It'll be a tough game. In the East, I have Michigan beating Ohio State. I have them losing at Penn State, finishing 11-1 on the regular season, winning the Big Ten title, making the playoff. And I have Ohio State losing that only 1 game as well.
Interesting. Parker.
Yeah, well, this is a clean sweep here. I also have Michigan winning the Big Ten, as much as it pains me to say it. But like kind of what Kevin and Theo said, they return almost everyone on offense. And then they bring in that one lineman from, I think, Arizona State.
They got Ladarius Henderson from Arizona State.
Yeah,
and
he's
they got a
pretty
center
good.
from Stanford.
Yep, from Stanford. And then the other guy from Stanford that's in the D-line to help him up.
Yep.
Obviously, Corum and Edwards, and then the quarterback. And, you can go on and on about the players they have. But, yeah, I think it comes down to schedule. And I actually had the same as you, Kevin. I think they lose that game at Penn State. But I think they're going to win the game at home against Ohio State. It might be a freezing cold game again in the snow. That favors Michigan. And if you've watched Michigan-Ohio State the last 2 years, you know Michigan's now a team that's built to beat Ohio State in the trenches, and that's going to happen again this year, regardless of how good Jack McCord or Kyle McCord, whatever his name is, or Devin Brown plays, whichever quarterback it is for Ohio State. So, and I think they beat Ohio State at home. They go on to win the Big Ten championship. They probably going to beat Wisconsin, I think, in my mind, coming out of the West, and then they'll go to the playoff again. Who they play there, I have no idea because it's going to be a crazy year in college football this year. So.
Yeah, and that's an advantage. I'd put Michigan over Ohio State. I mean, obviously the receiving court, but they've modeled their game kind of how Harbaugh built Stanford, which is the trenches, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. I don't think Ohio State is built to stop them. They have a lot of guys on defense, but it's kind of shown in the last 2 years 100%. And just the experience. Again, the experience is like so big here. You got Blake Corum, who should not be back 100%. Harbaugh told him, go to the league. He's back. I cannot see them losing at home. It's going to be a 3-peat. It's going to be fun.
I agree. And, I mean, like, now having the last game of the year, always just continues to play into your favor, Kevin, because, like Parker said, the weather is usually not great. It's definitely cold.
It was sunny last year. It was sunny.
Yeah,
They said
still cold. I mean, a
still
little
doesn't
windy.
favor throwing the ball.
Like if that game last year's on turf and a dome, I'm taking Ohio State, but it's not. So
Yeah, I mean, we saw Ohio State against Georgia, but that's a whole
That's all
other thing.
last
We're not
year.
going to get into that. All 3 of us, Michigan to win the Big Ten. I think there's going to be a little bit of parity, especially on the other side of the Big Ten. We can maybe get into that later with some win totals bets, because I know that at least Parker and I talked about we have some of those.
Well, we got to discuss Michigan State.
Let's discuss it.
okay.
Parker,
All
what
right.
do we?
We
What do
gotta
we
know how you're
think?
I mean,
feeling,
this is a forced on me. I didn't want to talk about Michigan State. I mean, personally, if you think you want no opinion about them, they're an unproven team. This is a prove-it year for Mel Tucker. I don't really have much to say on them other than the fact, like I said, prove-it year. A lot of unproven guys on the team. I mean, if they can stay healthy on defense, it's not saying much, but it's probably going to be Mel's best defensive unit he's had in 4 years. Like I said, not saying much, Kevin.
The D-line should be solid, but it's still a high school.
So
secondary.
spoiler, I was at practice today, and I did see the D-line and O-line play, and they did look a little bit bigger than a couple years ago. But again, not saying much when if you have a quarterback that can't throw the ball or an offensive coordinator that can't call a fucking pass play or run play that doesn't match up against the defense.
So question here
I don't
really
know.
quick.
What?
Sorry to cut you off, but
What's
who
up?
do you want to start at quarterback?
Well, I know who the starter is going to be. I can't say it yet until it's official. But
Who do you want?
I want Noah Kim. And the only reason I say that, it's very close right now, but the only reason I say it is because he's known the playbook 2 years longer than Kane Hauser, so he knows the offense more in and out than Kane Hauser, and he's a better athlete. So,
Okay.
out of the
All right,
pocket. So.
now this is Pozios picks, obviously gambling focused. Just really quick, Michigan State's win total. What do we think?
Yeah, it's 5.5 right now. This is a bet from the heart. This is pretty stupid on my end. I'm going to go over, but I think they just barely get it over to 6 wins. Maybe 7 if we get lucky. So, I don't know. Looking at the schedule, we play Washington at home. That's probably a loss. At Iowa's going to be a tough game. I mean, obviously Michigan at home, that should be a loss. Rivalry game, though, who knows? And then we play Penn State at Ford Field to end the season, and Ohio State at Ohio State. Good luck if that game's even within 21 within the first half. So
I mean, you still have Maryland in there too. They beat you guys last year. I don't know if you have Minnesota or not.
we play I mean, I don't know. Minnesota. If we can talk more about the West later, but I'm not a big fan of Minnesota this year. But yeah, Maryland's a team that's probably Maryland's best team in 4 or 5 years. They got it coming up this year. So
Right.
we'll see.
I think they hover in the 5 to 7 win range. I wouldn't be shocked at 7-5. I wouldn't be shocked at 5
Yeah,
to 7.
I mean, as a Michigan State fan, realistically, for what I need to see from Mel this year, and it's unrealistic for a lot of other people's 8 wins. I mean, if I can see that,
It's just not going to happen.
it's not
he
going to
gets
happen.
it to 8
I know
wins.
it's not going to happen, but I need to see it to be confident going forward in the future. If I see 7, I'll be like, okay, this is like another middle tier 6-6, 7-5 program going forward. Maybe even worse. So
I would feel more confident if you had Keon Coleman on this team. Trey Mosley is your wide receiver 1. That's bad. I don't think he'd be wide receiver 5 on Michigan. To be very honest with you.
that's not true. But
No, you take Cornelius, you take Roman.
Okay, all right, listen. We're not going to get into this.
I don't want to talk about Michigan State. Let's just move on, Theo. Let's just move on. Let's move on to the Big 12.
We're not going to get into a back and forth about who's better. There's obviously clearly a better team.
It's not even a question.
And listen, the Michigan State win total, I wanted to talk about that a little bit because I agree. I think it can go either way. I think, honestly, unfortunately, it pains me to say it also as an alumnus, Michigan State could go out there and win 3 games this year. It could happen, but we could also win 6 or 7. So we'll see what happens. We got some. What'd you say? We have the second toughest schedule.
Yeah, we have the second toughest schedule in the country, folks.
Yeah, so that's not good. Anyway, just to wrap up the Big Ten, we all have Michigan to win the conference, and let's move on. This one's pretty easy. Big 12. Big 12. Kevin could not be happier.
Yeah, right.
Big 12. I'm sure this will be consensus, and we're gonna get to Parker second on this one because I'm sure he'll have a lot to say about this. Texas plus 100 to win the conference. I mean, Quinn Ewers is a Heisman candidate. They're going to be really, really good. They return experience on both sides of the ball, especially on defense. They've brought in some big-time transfers as well. A.D. Mitchell joins the wide receiver room. I mean, that just gives Ewers another weapon to throw to. Hopefully he can stay healthy. And if he does, I don't think that anyone's going to be able to keep up with Texas in the Big 12. Kevin.
It's going to come down to Texas and Oklahoma. They play each other in the regular season, obviously. I think they're going to be the top 2 in divisionless conference. Whoever wins that game in the regular season, I think revenge is done again in the Big 12 championship. I do have Texas winning it. I hate that this one's probably going to be a sweep as well.
Yeah.
But Texas is back. Quinn Ewers, I think they'll go 10-2. I think they lose to Bama. I think they lose to Oklahoma once. Dylan Gabriel's good, man. Oklahoma's quarterback is good. They have a really good offense. Their defense is horrible. But I still think they split one of those.
Can't wait to bet the over in that game, just for the
100%.
record.
As
Whatever
always.
the number is, take it.
Yeah, I think like real quick before we get to you, Parker, it's going to be both their last seasons in the Big 12. I think they dominate and kind of show out before they exit to the SEC. Parker.
Yeah, clean sweep here. As much as it pains me to say this one, too, because I hate this team, Texas is going to win the Big 12. Like you said, Ewers is back from injury. I think if everyone knew, if a big football fan last year, knowing watching that Alabama game, if he stayed healthy, they would have won that game. So he's back. He's probably going to be a lot better considering he knows he's got Arch Manning right on his tail coming in if he doesn't play well. So he's going to have a prove-it year. Got Xavier Worthy, one of the best receivers in America. They added A.D. Mitchell from Georgia. He's elite. They've got talent all over the field, especially defensively. The problem with them is they just haven't been able to win those close games that they should in past years. And I don't know what it is, but I just have a feeling that because the Big 12 this year just doesn't feel like there's a couple teams that could compete with them outside of maybe like Kansas State, Texas Tech apparently. Not really high on them, and maybe Oklahoma. That's why they're going to win those close games again. They might go 10-2, 11-1. I think they're going to lose that game at Bama too. That's just impossible to play at in Tuscaloosa. But I mean, I see them beating Oklahoma. I mean, they beat them 49-0 last year. I mean, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, that was bad. And
That's
that was a horrible game.
embarrassing.
That was a horrible game, but that was
So
I couldn't believe that.
I know. And I see them beating them again this year. And like I said, they've got NFL talent over the field. It just, can Steve Sarkisian get that talent focused and regrouped and then heading in the right direction? And I think they do. They probably go 11-1. They might drop a game, and if they play at Baylor or someone.
I mean, if they beat Bama week 3, I think it's week 2 or 3. Look out! That's a 7-point spread.
Yeah, they could go into the playoff.
They could go undefeated potentially. I wouldn't say they will, but they might. And then, honestly, I think whoever they play in the Big 12 championship, I think they're going to beat them pretty handily. So.
I don't know. That Bama game is going to be real interesting because I'm low on Bama this year. I am personally.
That's fair.
I mean, it's Bama.
It's so hard to play in Tuscaloosa, man.
Too.
It's going to be rocking.
Saban's gonna have them ready to go. Yeah. Oh, they're coming to the SEC. Yeah. We got to stomp them one more time.
And one thing on Oklahoma, I'll say is I'm kind of opposite on you for you, Kevin. Oklahoma, I'm not too high on them, and that's because of the defense. Like, did they add anyone on defense in the portal? No. Like, I get Brett Venables as a defensive guy, but, I mean, my God, they were one of the worst defenses in the country last year.
Yeah, it was bad.
So, I mean, I don't see them making any drastic improvements in the offseason. I mean, unless, like I said, they get transfers, but they didn't. So, yeah, I think they might go, like, 8-4. Like, we were talking about the over-under, and we might talk about that later. But
that's a big improvement from last year. Here's a question for you guys, though. Last year we had TCU out of the Big 12 come out. I know we probably didn't dive into Big 12 too much. Is there a team you see from this conference or even just in general you want to throw out that's like, hey, this team is projected 9th in the conference. I could see this team making a run because I really don't. I think it's going to be Texas.
Yeah, not in the Big 12.
Kansas State is number 16 in the poll.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they'll be decent, but I think Texas is – this is the best team that they've had in a while, I think, personally. I mean, they always get the hype because it's Texas, but they've got real talent this year. So.
No, I think I'd say one team. I mean, some people are saying Texas Tech, and that's just because they'd bring back like almost their entire roster. But I mean, their quarterback I think went 8-0 in games he started last year, but their offense isn't that great. But I will say one team to keep an eye on that kind of peaked early last year and kind of fell off because of some injuries. Kansas. Their quarterback, Jalen Daniels, is a first-team preseason Big 12 quarterback of the year. That guy is a stud. If you watched the Arkansas bowl game last year, they put up 52 points in Arkansas. Lost because their defense sucks.
Yeah, triple overtime. But that was a great game. We had the over for the record. That was a winner. Easy.
Of course we did.
But that offense is elite. That's an elite offense they have in Kansas. And if they just can even get a little bit better on defense, I mean, they could go probably 7-5, 8-4 maybe this year. So. I'm not saying go to the Big 12 championship or win the Big 12, but
I like that.
Instead of 6-6, 8-4, it's
I like it. All right, on to the Pac-12, the conference of quarterbacks.
Love this conference.
Parker and I were talking about it earlier, Kevin. We wish that there was a points total for the conference so that we could bet.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, we'd hammer that over.
Oh yeah,
because there's gonna be a million points scored in the Pac-12 this year, but. Parker, I want to get into your pick first.
Yeah, so this is where we're going to differ here, Theo, because the Pac-12 is going to eat each other up this year. I think we're all going to kind of have a consensus on that. Now, who comes out of that? I think is the team that brings back, other than USC, the most on offense and the most on defense. That's Washington. They got Michael Penix Jr., who I'll get into later, might be a Heisman winner. He had the most receiving yards in the country last year. He returns his 2 top receivers, his top tight end, all of his O-line except for one O-lineman, and their running back just got hurt, unfortunately, but they don't run the ball at all. So, I mean, you could plug and play with that guy.
And they get Jeremy Bernard.
This year, so there you go, another ex-Spartan. So, I mean, their offense, they might outside of USC and Michigan, they might have the best offense in the entire country. And their defense was okay last year. They lost a couple of guys, but, I mean, it's nothing, like, terrible. It's probably one of the better defenses in the Pac-12, definitely better than Oregon and USC. So I kind of like them to win the Pac-12 this year, even though it's, like, typically, like, Utah, a team that's more ground and pound, better in the trenches. I just think they're too explosive. I think they win USC. I think they beat Oregon. They go 11-1, and they go to the Pac-12 championship game, and they beat my surprise team, Oregon State. in the Pac-12 championship
Wow,
game.
I like it, Parker.
Yeah. Yep.
I like
Hey,
it.
it's
So-
Pac-12. Crazy things happen.
Hey, man, you never know. So I might go out on a limb here on that. It might be a crazy pick, but that's my crazy conference championship pick.
I
of
mean,
the year,
they
so.
do always eat each other alive.
Mhm.
So, Kevin,
So-
what do you think about the Pac-12?
So here's the thing. I think it's going to be a three-headed monster, kind of like how the Big Ten is. The Big Ten, you have Michigan, Ohio State, and you have Penn State. This conference, you have Utah, USC, and why did I just forget what? And
Washington.
I have Washington winning it though. I think Penix is going to have a really, really good year. Like Parker said, they return literally everyone on offense. The running backs to plug and play. But I wish I could take USC. Their defense is just so horrible.
I know.
Their
I
defense
know.
is just so bad. They're almost like Oklahoma, where it's just like you just fix the defense, like you're a top 4 team every single year. But I think Washington's going to take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have USC at plus 200. I mean, you get Caleb Williams back. He's easily going to be the number 1 pick. The one game that they're going to have to take care of business is they're going to be at home, but they have Utah coming in early in October. That should be the game of the year for them.
Yeah.
If they take care of that.
That's the eye test right there.
Yeah,
That game.
yeah.
Compared to
Baller,
last
man.
year.
He's
Yeah,
a baller.
Utah, man, they just hang around in games.
Yeah.
and they're going to have to take care of business at home. But if they do take care of business in that game, I mean, they'll walk into the conference championship, and they're going to play a good schedule. I mean, they play Notre Dame as well. Kevin, like you said, the defense is obviously a big question mark. They're returning most of the defense. I mean, I know they were bad, but you get another year under your belt. They added a couple of key transfers too, so it should give them more stops, and then in turn, you get more stops. You give Caleb Williams more possessions. They're going to win games. At Oregon could be an issue too for USC, but
Yeah.
I don't believe in the Oregon defense at all.
No.
So
I mean, another reason why I have Washington, I think their schedule overall is a bit easier.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep, that's what I was going to
think
say.
At Oregon, it's going to be tough. I think Bo Nix is legit.
I think it's at home this
He
year,
is.
actually,
yes.
because they
It's
played
not
at,
at
they
Oregon.
played at Oregon last year, so that's at Husky Stadium.
Got it. Okay.
So that favors them.
Still,
I
Bo
mean,
Nix, man. Like, and I think that's a well-coached team. I mean, they beat Ohio State in Columbus just a year ago. So, it's going to be a tough conference. But
It's
give me
so
Washington.
tough.
Give me Washington.
yeah,
I like them.
this is the conference, the parity conference this year. I mean, we can all agree. I mean, like literally, Utah could win the conference. I
Yeah.
mean, for all we know. But I want to touch on one team real quick before we move
Go
on.
on.
Oregon State, my Beavers, man. Let me tell you, they're a duplicate of Utah in how they win games. Their defensive line and O line, those guys can play ball, man. They remind me not as good as like a Michigan, Kevin, but they remind me just because of.
Thanks for the props.
I'm just because you guys have good trenches. So, but like how you guys beat Ohio State? It's like how Oregon State would win games last year. They went 9-3. That's how they beat Oregon last year, right? They almost beat USC last year at home, and they were the only thing they had missing last year was a quarterback. That's all they needed. Now they got DJ from Clemson. Could be a revival year from who knows.
I don't
new
hate
system.
it. I don't hate it.
I like it. They bring back almost everyone on defense. They got some really good running backs.
Yeah.
I like them. I like
And
them to go to the
it gets
Pac-12
crazy in
championship. man.
Corvallis, man. It gets crazy.
Do
up
not.
there.
At night in Corvallis,
Yeah.
the Beaver chain.
Yeah,
Are you
yeah,
kidding
yeah.
me? They
It's
got
dark. It gets dark.
and
up there
they
at
just
night.
got a brand new stadium renovated.
Wow.
Oh
That's
my
awesome.
God! Look
They're going
out,
to be
man.
good too, but
Woo.
at the end of the day, the same thing is going to happen. USC is going to be undefeated, and then they're going to lose to Arizona
Utah
or
for
something.
a third
Yeah,
time. They lost them
Arizona.
twice last year.
Something's going to happen. Whoever's at the top of this conference, they're going to drop a game to Arizona State at the end of the year.
Yeah.
We'll get into the playoff talk later, but Pac-12, a lot of parity. Okay, last Power 5, SEC. I'll keep this one simple. I'm taking Georgia minus 110 to win the conference. LSU's playing a better schedule. I like LSU as kind of like a secondary pick, plus 460. They kick it off against Florida State next Sunday. Awesome game,
That's
by the
gonna
way.
be-
Sunday
that's gonna be
night.
good.
That'll be a great game. But Georgia's Georgia. I mean, they don't play anybody at all. They're going to waltz into the SEC championship game, and then they're going to have to beat LSU or Alabama, most likely. Alabama is projected to be 7-point favorites. They are, as of right now, against LSU in Tuscaloosa, which is interesting. Like, if looking at that game, I would lean LSU right now. But I don't know how the numbers look. People are high on Alabama. I'm not as high on Alabama. I like LSU. But Georgia minus 110. There's some juice, but
Yeah.
I just think they're too good.
Mm-hmm.
I'll add to this. I do have Georgia winning. It's against Alabama. I think Nick Saban, after seeing Georgia win the last 2 years, is going to be fired up. I think other than quarterback, that's a position he's always figured out, though.
Yeah.
I mean, Milroe did play a little bit last year. Obviously, you had Bryce, but he showed signs. I mean, this is a 5-star guy that's coming to Bama and starting right away. Not right away, but you get the point.
Right.
But Georgia is going to win. They did add, I will say, Dominic Lovett is a beast. He's a wide receiver they got from Missouri. He's like, they don't even need him.
No,
they got him last year.
They don't.
They have Brock Bowers. They had
Brock Bowers,
McConkey, who's a
maybe
beast.
the
80
best.
Mitchell.
Oh, he's gone. He's
I
gone.
was saying last year.
Oh
last
yeah,
year.
yeah.
Right.
But I mean, Brock Bowers could you could argue that he's the best player in college football.
He
Maybe
could be the
behind.
best.
Lamar.
He's going to be a top 5. He's going to be a top 5 draft pick
Yeah.
next year. I mean, that's how good he is.
Yeah, they do not need Lovett, and Lovett was a beast last year too. So I mean, we'll see. But I think we all have Georgia here.
Parker.
Yes, I mean that's Georgia. This is the easiest lock of the century. Century lock.
Wow.
I mean, come on. Like, let's be realistic. I mean, they got a cakewalk of a schedule. They play at Tennessee as their toughest game. That's it.
And the
It's bad.
defense. I mean, the defense. They
So-
lose guys every year, but the defense is still elite.
And
Go ahead.
no, I'm saying, and that's the thing with a team like Georgia now is they don't rebuild, they reload.
yeah.
So especially on defense, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like you said, they had players come out. Jordan Davis last year, they're going to plug another guy in. That's a 6'6", 265-pound, massive D tackle. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, cakewalk, probably 12-0, and then I think they're probably going to play LSU. And the only reason why I say LSU think goes to the SEC championship game is only because of the schedule. They got a much easier schedule. Not saying that might much easier, but easier than Alabama. Alabama plays a gauntlet of a schedule next year. I mean,
Yeah,
if you
they
go
do
look at it,
tough
it's
schedule.
brutal. So
I still have Bama winning that head-to-head though. That's what I think pushes them ahead.
Yeah,
But, I mean,
Bama just has to hope that they don't drop a game before that, because I would love for that to be like to get into the SEC championship game, that last game of the year. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so any other conference champions besides the Power 5 that you guys had, or we can get into one?
every other conference is irrelevant. So I'm good.
Yeah, I
I think
mean,
we're good. It's a chalk year in my opinion, but
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see.
Right.
yeah. All right, so let's get into some win totals. I'm gonna start. This is my super max bet. Kevin's gonna like this one. I've talked to Kevin about this bet. Michigan over 10.5 wins. It's my max bet. It's my biggest play of the year. My biggest future of the year, I should say. Over 10.5 wins. That style of play travels. We've talked about it the past 2 years. It doesn't matter where they go. Anytime, anywhere, they're just going to run the ball down your face, and they're going to play defense. That game at Penn State, we'll get into that in a second. I think they go there and they win that game. Penn State obviously has maybe the best secondary in college football. That doesn't matter when Michigan's running it down your throat. I think they go there, they take care of business at Penn State, and then if they do that, we just sit back and relax. Even if they lose that Ohio State game, it cashes the win total.
What's the worst case scenario? Obviously, 10-2 at Penn State you lose versus Ohio State you lose.
Right.
But I can't see them losing both.
I don't think they
games.
lose both.
No,
of those
they
games.
don't.
So,
Literally, unless J.J. Donovan and Blake Corum all break their legs at the same
I
time.
mean, man, they are returning literally everyone.
Yeah.
They added. They have the #1 transfer class. They added 8 guys. So
Yeah. And again,
We'll
people might come at me, oh, MSU guy, you're taking me. What? Listen,
it's an unbiased.
right.
It's called being smart.
this is Pozios Picks, a betting podcast. I think this is one of the best bets you can make. Michigan over 10.5 wins. That is my biggest win total, my biggest future for this year. I love it. Like Kevin said, I don't think they lose both those games. There, as much as we, joke about and root for it, they're not going to lose at Nebraska. They're not going to lose any of these games. So that's my biggest win total bet. Kevin, do you have any other win totals that you like?
I have Michigan, and then I have Penn State over 9.5, which I believe you have. I
Love
really
it.
like Penn State
Yep.
this year. Like
Love
their
it.
schedule is Swiss cheese.
You
They
like
have
that?
Michigan,
You have that, Parker?
Same thing,
Penn
yeah.
State?
They have
I got the
Michigan,
same two as you.
Ohio State, and nobody else. I mean, obviously they're the top 3 right there, but I think even if they lose both those games, they're 10-2.
Yep.
I think they're going to be really good this year. They're breaking in a new quarterback, but he's a 5-star guy. Their running backs are really, really good. Defense, elite, just like last year, even though we dropped 41 on them, but forget about that. I like Penn State over 9.5, and then another one I like is, I stick to the Big Ten, but Wisconsin over 8.5 wins.
Yep.
I
Like
think
it.
they're going
Hammer
to
that.
Man.
Like
I think
it a
they're going
lot.
to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Hammer that.
Fickle's going to get him right away. They got a really good running back. defense should be solid, and they play in the Big Ten West. I think they're going to win, obviously, at least 9 games here. So
I like it. Real quick, back to Penn State. I had that also. I just love that bet. Like I said, probably the best secondary in college football. The defense is still good. And if they lose against Michigan and Ohio State, it still cashes. So
one thing that I want to touch on, that game versus Michigan is noon. It's not a night game.
Okay.
That helps Michigan.
That does
hurts
help
the Penn
Michigan.
State
Helps them a little
total
bit,
a little bit, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think the defense is going to carry Penn State, and then if Drew Aller can, be as good as they say he's going to be, even if he's decent and let the running backs take care of it, I think they're dangerous. And
the
if
running backs are good. Their receivers are not
Yeah,
the
the
best. They
receivers
lost
not the
Parker
best.
Washington. They lost Dotson 2 years ago.
yeah,
They're a little weak there, but the run game is going to be good.
yeah, really, really good. Parker?
Yeah, I got the same three as you. Michigan over on wins, Penn State over on wins, and Hammer Wisconsin over on wins. Like you said, Penn State best defense in the Big Ten by far. Their D line is loaded with talent. They had a freshman linebacker last year, almost led the Big Ten in sacks. He's a freshman last year, so that guy's a stud. And then like you said, I mean, all this hype about Drew Aller and stuff. I mean, I get it. I'm not gonna say anything on it. I just got to see him play because he hasn't played at all. Once he starts playing, and once he gets in a groove and he starts playing well, then I'll absolutely believe in the hype. But like you said, Theo, even if he plays just decent this year, they got Katron Allen and Nick Singleton at running back. They'll be just fine. So and I mean they lose those games against Michigan and Ohio State, still cashes. So and Wisconsin, oh my God. Luke Fickell brings an air raid offense. Let me repeat that. Air raid offense to Wisconsin. First time ever they're going away from a pro style.
And Mordecai slings that.
And Tanner Mordecai, who's my quarterback last year at SMU, who mind you threw 10 touchdowns in a game, he's going there and he's going to light it up in that air raid offense. Mind you, they have Brayon Allen, one of the best running backs in the country, too. So they can mix and match on offense now. They've got a stellar defense, like always, is Wisconsin. I think they probably go like 10-2, but I think they easily get over that.
And they don't have to play Michigan. I don't think they have to play Penn State as well. They play at Ohio State.
At Ohio State.
Sorry, they play at home versus Ohio State.
That's
Fickell
right.
Versus his former team.
That's right.
Watch out
Oh,
for that
my
game.
God.
That'll be a good game.
That's going to be a good
Would
game.
you guys consider the Ohio State under?
No, I would not. No, I would not.
I don't know, man.
No.
The
What-
quarterback situation is not figured
No.
out.
What
it
I
doesn't-
would consider,
doesn't
not the under, but what I would consider is Ohio State not to make the playoff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Yes.
think that's a little bit safer and kind of around the same odds.
I agree, but if you're going over 10.5 wins, you're 11-1. That loss is probably to Michigan. They made it last year, going 11.
I know. It's weird though, Kevin. It's going to get weird.
Depends
We'll
on
see.
the rest of the country,
Yeah,
So
because like
I don't
Pac-12 didn't have a team. Like, what if they get somebody in? It's,
Yeah, but no one watches
ACC,
Pac-12.
Florida State, Florida State.
Money.
Clemson too. They didn't like it.
No, I agree.
Could
There's,
be another SEC team this year.
I see
you
what
know?
you're saying, but I think there's
I
going to
get
be
it.
more parity.
Yeah.
Parker, any more win totals?
Yeah, one that I absolutely love is Miami, Florida, 7.5. Hammer the under on that. I don't know why it's that high in the first place. Where did they go? Like 5-7.
George is going to have a
last
lot
year?
to say about that one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't give a shit what George thinks about it, but he goes to Iowa right now. So, no, I mean, look, listen, they're a lot of turmoil. I get they got a couple good guys on defense. Who the hell's their quarterback? I couldn't tell you who their quarterback
No, I
is.
have no
Who
idea.
are their receivers? I couldn't tell you a receiver on their team.
If
A
it's Van
running
Dyke,
back?
he sucks.
He sucks. He's terrible. They have a horrible O-line. I mean, Mario Cristobal's trying to rebuild right now, but it's like, yeah, he putting all this money in with NIL is not going to, turn it around in, one day. So, and I get the transfer portal and this crap, but yeah, I mean, it's like they play Texas A&M. That's a non-conference game. They could drop that game easily. I don't see it. They're going to lose to Florida State. If they play Clemson, they're going to lose to Clemson. I don't see them winning those games. I think they're going to go under 7.5 personally. So
Yeah,
I
we'll
don't
see.
get the hype on them. I don't yet.
The ACC, other than Florida State, Clemson, and North Carolina, we didn't even talk about North Carolina.
Yeah, we haven't talked about
In
them
May.
yet.
Yeah,
But those are 4 losses
that
right there for
defense
Miami.
stinks.
Yeah, no,
North Carolina
their
just
their
not a
defense is
And they're going to get a
horrible.
lot slower this year after their OC left. They're going to get a
That's
lot
right.
slower.
Josh Downs is
Yeah,
out
yeah.
at receiver. He's not the Storm Duck, the great
Yeah,
DB
yeah, yeah.
transferred. I agree. But
I mean, even the Lions took their wide receiver one, Antoine Green, this year. So
Any other
See
ones,
how much
Parker?
that matters.
I guess
I know you had a couple.
yeah, the
written
only
down.
other one I really want to dive into, kind of time back to Oklahoma, take the under on 9.5 wins. I'm not sold on that.
9.5 is kind of high.
That's a little high. That's too high considering after what happened
No, I
last
agree.
year What happened after? What happened last year? Their defense, and like I said, I don't see it. They lose to Texas. We were talking about their schedule. Lose to Texas. They play, I think, TCU at home. That's a toss-up. Baylor, that's a toss-up.
Yeah.
They're going to lose to Kansas State, I think is what we said. And then they play at Kansas. That could be a loss.
Where's that game versus Kansas State? You know?
I think it's at Kansas State because
That's gonna be a tough game.
Kansas State beat Oklahoma at Oklahoma last year. So I'm not so. Oh, and UCF. At home.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. John Rice Plumlee, that explosive offense. Hey, look out. The newcomer for the Big 12. So
Weren't they the 2020 champs or the 2021 champs? What year did you see
National
that?
champs.
national champs, like 2019 or something.
yeah.
So. But yeah, Dylan Gabriel's old team. But
Yeah, that's true.
we'll see. We'll see, man. So that's what I got. So.
I got one more win total before we move on. I like TCU over 7.5 wins, and I'm going to get into this because TCU obviously loses.
TCU.
Come on. TCU obviously loses a lot of production from last season, but they have a very friendly schedule. When you look at it, I mean, you can almost guarantee 6 wins. And then after that, we only need them to win 2 out of the other 6. 2 of their tougher conference games are at home, with Baylor and Texas going to TCU. I think they beat Baylor at home. Texas, obviously, I don't know. I'm high on Texas. Chandler Morris is going to be their starting quarterback, who, if you guys remember, beat Max Duggan out for the starting job last year before he got hurt. Then Duggan obviously took off. But they're going to have him at quarterback. He's got some experience. He's a good player. That, along with a couple wide receiver transfers, I think they're going to pick up the slack left by Duggan and Quinn Johnston. Not as much, obviously, but they should be solid on offense. They return a good amount of their defense. They've got a few preseason all-conference players in that secondary. I think they at least go 8-4. So TCU over 7.5 is my last win total.
That's a very, very low total, but it wouldn't surprise me if they went the under just because of losing the quarterback and the wide receiver one who was a first-round guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I would take the over.
That's what I'm saying, Kevin. I mean, looking at their schedule, their 6 games are almost guaranteed.
Right.
So we only need 2
I
out of
agree.
the 6. I like those odds. I do.
And I have faith in their coach, Sonny Dykes. Everywhere he's gone, their
They're
offense has
well
been
coached, man.
really
Yeah,
good.
they are.
Always been
Well
really good offense. And he's typically been no worse than 6-6 wherever he's gone, whether it was at Cal or SMU. So I like that deal. That's a really good bet.
Thank you.
Chandler Morris. And is that backup running back that ran for over 100 yards against Michigan coming back this year?
I don't think he is, no.
Okay. Well, I just let you know that he ran for 100 yards against
Yeah.
Michigan last year. And they beat Michigan. But I
That's
digress.
true. That's true, Kevin. I'm just,
So
This podcast is nothing but facts.
that's
I can't
true.
argue that.
All facts.
it's all facts here. No lies.
All right. Moving on to some season player props. If you don't know what these are basically futures on players for their season total. So, for example, one of my favorites, I'll just start. Marvin Harrison, over 11.5 receiving touchdowns. I love this play. This is the main reason. I know the quarterback situation is kind of a question mark with an inexperienced quarterback, but with that inexperienced quarterback, he might need somebody to lean on early. You got the best wide receiver by far in the country on your offense. He's going to be wide open. He's going to get the ball thrown to him. I think he racks up some early, I hope, and then we kind of cruise. Marvin Harrison over 11.5 touchdowns for the season. Kevin, what do you think?
I hate it because I hate this guy, but I could see it happening. One thing I will say is, though, they are stacked.
They are
at
stacked.
wide receiver.
Yeah,
You got
Egbuka there is scary.
You got Henderson coming back.
Yeah,
you got
yeah,
Mike Williams. We just have to see what happens with the quarterback situation.
Yeah.
But I think they throw the ball enough where 12 seems very, very reasonable. I don't know how many he had last year, but again,
I
this
think
is
he
a
had
guy,
13 or 14 last year.
he's going to be a top 10 pick this year. I mean, probably top 6, 7.
Yeah.
Just because quarterback is very high, but I like it. I would take the over.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate the unbiased.
Of course.
I do. And listen, if he has 12 touchdowns going into the game, I will root for him not to score for
All right.
you. But
That's
if we
a
need
bet.
him
I mean,
to score,
I can't say that. I can't say that for myself, but I agree. I like that 11.5.
Thank you.
I like the over. He's gonna have like 5 against MSU alone. So
yeah, that's true.
I mean, it
Hopefully
doesn't
that
matter,
game's more
but
than like 5 minutes this year. We'll see.
yeah, all right. I
It won't.
mean, whatever. So I don't know who gives a shit. I mean, they're and it's. I mean, a side note. Sorry to get sidetracked here, but they're wearing their all gray uniforms against us, of course.
For some reason, it's a night game.
Slap in the face. Kevin, I don't know why. They just love to punish
Trust
us
me,
on
we've
national
talked
TV.
about this. It's
Beating a dead horse.
And
Yeah.
sorry. Anyways, so I'll give you two, three locks I like, and then I'll save a couple for the player props at the end.
like it.
My absolute lock. People, please take this one. I couldn't believe when I saw this. Spencer Rattler, 18.5 touchdowns. Please take the over on this. I understand they play a really hard schedule, but my God, he can average at least a touchdown and a half in 12 games throwing. I mean, and this is going to be the best he's been at USC. Yeah. He's got that Juice Wells receiver who's one of the best in the country, I think. I mean, they're going to be better on offense. Defensively, we'll see, but like I said, I just love that's so small for TDs. That's so low.
Yeah,
I mean,
shout out Yanni. Shout out the Gamecocks.
Yeah, shout out Yanni. Shout out the Cox.
Spencer Rattler, great end of the year last year.
He had a great end of the year. He had 5 touchdowns against Tennessee, who was like number 6 in the country. I mean, yeah, he had a great end of the year, and if that rolls in and continues on, we'll see. I think it will. I mean, the bettors are not high on him, but I am. So
no, I like it, Parker, because if he has one of those 5 touchdown games,
then that's all. Then it's easy.
Yeah,
it's easily
going
to hit.
Easy.
Yeah. So
no, I'm staying away from that. Their schedule is like
it's the hardest in the country.
North Carolina week 1. North Carolina's going to be solid.
Their defense is horrible.
I know, but Spencer Rattler should have 3.
Kevin, the thing is, we're talking about touchdowns, not wins or losses. That's all I'm thinking.
But South Carolina, just historically, and even the last 5 years, their offense has been dog shit. Like really, really,
but it was a little bit better last year, and it was getting better at the end of the year. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know, man. So. This is the first disagreement of the.
That's fair.
It's a question mark.
Fair.
It's a question
mark.
That's fair.
I can see how it doesn't happen, but also if like we said, if he has a 5 touchdown game, I mean that should be easy.
Yeah. So, I guess another one. I'll give one more lock, and then I'll save the rest for later. Braylon Allen under 1,075 rushing yards this season. The only reason I say that is because they switched to an air raid. If they were continuing to do pro style, I think they give him a ball 30, 35 times a game. But because it's air raid now, he's going to get like 10, maybe 15 less touches a game running the ball. So I like under on rushing yards, not rushing touchdowns. I mean, I don't know what it is on there. I didn't look at it. It could be over because if they get the ball at the 2-yard line, 5-yard line, they're going to rush it. But I'm just saying they're going to throw the ball a lot more, especially Mordecai. So I like the under on yards.
I like that.
That should be good.
One more season prop that I took. This one's a little bit riskier, but we just need one big game. Brock Bowers over 715.5 receiving yards. The reason I took it is I think a little bit similar to the Ohio State situation I talked about with Marv. Beck is going to need someone to rely on early. Bowers is open every play.
Yeah.
If he runs a solid route and he's not blocking, he's going to get a lot of receptions, I think, early, and then his yard after the catch ability, I think, carries us over.
His yak.
Yeah, that's right. Good.
He's good, man. I like that over.
He's a beast. 715.5. He's gone over it. His first 2 years at Georgia, he's gone over this total.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like it.
Let me give one last one. I know we're a little bit over here, but JJ over 20.5 passing touchdowns. He had 20 last year. People forget that he was also battling Cade McNamara for the first game, so he didn't even play the first game, and he had 20. The Michigan record it's so embarrassing. 26 passing touchdowns in a season. I'm pretty sure Peyton Thorne had
more than that, by the way, folks.
Yeah, but he also had like 15 picks, so relax. But
not his fault. Not his fault.
Anyways, JJ over 20.5. I think the offense is going to be unbelievable this year. I think with Corum coming off injury, they rely on him, but not as much as in giving him 30 carries like they did last year for multiple games. I think JJ is out to prove, obviously, that the TCU game was really bad. He still threw for, I think, 500 yards in that game.
But 2 pick sixes.
20.5 seems just very, very low. In a 12-game season, give me the over on that, and it's minus 120. So.
Are you concerned about how much they run the ball? And Donovan being there another year.
Are you concerned about the receivers that are unproven so far?
I think Cornelius and Roman are pretty proven.
I mean, okay.
Disregard that question. Are you worried about them running the ball too?
No, because I don't think Corum is going to be relied to get 20.
I know, but
But
I feel like Donovan.
Your O-line is the best in the country.
People don't realize Edwards plays in the slot a ton. So one of their goals this year is to play Corum at running back and have Edwards in the slot. So you have Cornelius, you have Roman, you have Edwards, and then you have Colson Loveland out wide.
Okay.
Edwards can catch the ball, man.
20.5.
20.5 is low,
It's
man.
low. It's low.
That's
It
very
is
low.
low. It's low.
That's very low. He had 20 last year, and he didn't play the first game.
Yeah.
And he didn't play, I think, half of, I guess, it was Hawaii, but they're already up 50 points. But
I mean, I have no comment on this because I'll never bet a Michigan bet in my life just because
they
my
play
hatred for
UNLV,
them, so.
they play East
But, I mean,
Carolina, and Bowling Green the first 3 games. They play Michigan State, who can't cover my grandma. I mean, that's 15 touchdowns.
Kevin, don't
right
lose
there.
that game.
That's
Don't lose that game,
touchdowns
Kevin.
right there. I'm just saying.
Kevin, don't lose that
That's
game.
15.
I'm
No
not
one's
saying.
afraid of the woodshed.
I'm
Okay,
not
all right.
saying. Okay.
Well,
I'm not saying we're gonna win. I'm just saying don't lose that game.
all right.
God damn.
Let's move on really quick.
Uh,
We're gonna move on to some Heisman bets.
Oh, yeah.
Just
Oh,
some
yeah.
sprinkles. Just some sprinkles for me. I'll start. My 2 bets: Jaden Daniels and Jordan Travis. They're anywhere from like plus 1,200 to plus 1,600, depending on what book you use. Caleb Williams is the clear favorite. We were talking about earlier. Someone's won the Heisman back to back only
once
time.
Eddie
before.
George. That's it.
Yeah,
Ever.
so I mean, it's not very likely he repeats. I don't think he does. Daniels and Travis square off in that game next Sunday that we were talking about. Really excited about that one. I'm hoping that game is like a classic, which I think it can be. Whoever wins that game, both of these teams have good schedules moving forward, LSU and Florida State, and I think they can kind of build on a Heisman resume. So I'm sprinkling both of them. I just really like their play style. They both can run. They both can throw the ball really well, and I think they can really build a solid Heisman campaign. And I'm not worried about Caleb Williams, honestly. He's going to have a great season.
Plus
And he's
450, you still got to
Yeah.
sprinkle that one too. I feel like it's decent enough odds.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
unit or 2 on it, but
Yeah.
the Pac-12, man.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
so many good quarterbacks.
You've got probably
there.
5 out of the first 7, clear betters, like favorite betters, are the Pac-12
Yeah.
quarterbacks.
Yeah,
I mean, so
That's why I'm sprinkling
Yeah.
these
I
guys
mean-
too, because if they have a good season, they could, upset some people. Caleb Williams, like USC's favored to win it. So their conference, I should say. So
Yeah.
if these guys have a good season, they have some upsets, they win some big games, I think that really helps in the Heisman conversation.
Yeah. I'll give my picks here real quick. My favorite is going to be Michael Penix at plus 1,600 on DraftKings. That is by far my favorite. I'm going to give a little spoiler here. I have Washington making the playoffs as the 3 seed, so I think Penix obviously is going to be a big part of that. And another thing, it's a numbers game. They throw the ball 50 times a game. This guy's going to have 40 touchdowns easily. Probably going to have, 4,000, 5,000 yards. It's going to be insane. I think Penix at plus 1,600 is going to be really good value. And I like Jane Daniels more than I like Jordan Travis because I do have LSU winning that first game.
Mm-hmm.
But whoever wins that game, they're going to be a front runner
Yeah.
right after Caleb from the
Yep.
start.
Yep. I agree.
So we'll see.
Parker.
Kevin took the words out of my mouth,
How
man.
about that?
Whoa.
You
Wow.
guys are winning. Yay! Yay!
Kidding me? When I saw Penix Jr. had the 5th best odds at plus 1,600, I was like, oh my god, it's the only guy I'm thinking about to bet on the Heisman.
Slam dunk.
Is that guy?
I love it.
Plus 1,600. Cade Klubnik is plus 1,200. Who the hell is betting that? Are you kidding me? You must be blind. I mean, come on, let's be real here. Like Kevin said, they throw the ball 1,000,000 times a game. Like he had the most passing yards last year. He's gonna have a bunch of touchdowns this year. They play in the Pac-12, no defense for the most part. And like I said earlier, top 3 receivers come back, top tight end. He's got weapons to throw to. I mean, and I agree. I think they're gonna win the Pac-12, make the playoff potentially. So yeah, I like the only person I really like here is Michael Penix at plus 1,600 to win the Heisman.
I like it. I mean, we got 3 guys above plus 1,000, plus 1,200, so you can sprinkle all 3 of these, get some good value.
Yeah.
I hope all 3 of these guys have good seasons, because if all 3 of these guys are good, it's going to provide a lot of entertainment. So that is it for the Heisman. Now we're just going to kind of do miscellaneous plays before we get into the national championship. I'll start with mine because it's pretty quick. This is my other max bet of this episode. It's a plus 106 parlay. I have Clemson to make the ACC championship game. I know we talked about Clemson and Klubnik is unproven, but I think that defense is good enough. I think Shipley's good enough. And I think their schedule is good enough to at least make the championship game. And then Texas to make the Big 12 champ. They only have to make the game. They don't even have to win it. We talked about that earlier enough. Yeah.
I love that.
Plus 106. They just have to go to their conference championship games. This is a max play for me. I love this 2-leg. just to get to the championship game
Yeah.
in their conference parlay.
I love that a lot, Theo. I
Thank
think it's kind of a lock too.
I love it.
mean, Clemson and Florida State are just on a they're on a collision course.
Yeah.
And it's not the season hasn't even started yet to get to the ACC championship
Right.
game. So and then I agree. Texas, we talked about them earlier, but I mean, I don't really see outside of a couple other teams challenging them to even just get there, and then when they get there, they're probably going to win. So
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Thank you. Yeah.
So
I mean, if there's a team that will spoil it, sorry to cut you off, but it'd probably be Kansas State.
Yeah.
maybe, yeah, and it's only because last year, they won it last year, and I mean, the question is their quarterback. I mean, he played down the stretch last year, but he had a horrible game against Alabama in the bowl game. It was bad, and they lose Deuce Vaughn. Anyways, Kansas State could be a potential.
I know that's why I like it though. They
so.
just have to get to the
No,
championship game.
not to win, exactly to
Yeah,
win. So
yeah.
I like that. So
No, I'm curious what Clemson's odds alone are just to make the AC championship. I would guess probably.
They're like
Minus
probably
200.
minus like
they're
200,
more
something
than
like
that. I
that.
think
Yeah.
like 280.
They got to be the favorite.
It's going to be
Yeah,
on
yeah.
Florida State.
It will
I'm
be.
very confident.
Yeah.
I'm not confident in North Carolina.
No,
May is
no.
good, but dude, it's North
Yeah.
Carolina.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Any other miscellaneous plays?
I got a couple. This actually relates to Clemson. Cade Klubnik under 26.5 touchdowns. Not a believer in him. I won't be a believer in him at the end of the year. I think with Will Shipley, they're just going to run the ball in the
kinda
red
high.
zone. That's really high for him. And
Think
like I
about it,
said,
JJ is 20, Parker.
we're not talking about JJ. We're
Just
talking
saying,
about
it's
Clay
comparisons.
Klubnik. That's super high, Theo, for a guy that
That's high, and they
has
have
one start under his
yeah,
belt.
and
My
they have one of
God,
the best
it's like
running backs in the country. That's high.
Yeah, they're going to run the ball in the red zone most of the time to
Yeah.
get touchdowns. So you're relying on him to throw for 30-plus yard touchdowns. I don't like it.
I like it.
So
though.
we'll
I
see.
I like that.
Another quick two is Romeo Duniz on Washington receiver. I don't know how the heck this is still. They did this. 925 passing or receiving yards. I don't know how that's under 1,000. Hit the over on that. He had like 1,200, 1,300 last year.
Yeah.
And they're going to throw to him more.
He's a beast.
So he's a beast. And then I actually like this one a lot. You might like this one, Theo. Johnny Wilson, the big 6'6" receiver on Florida State. Only 5.5 touchdowns on the year. Give me the over
Yeah, they're
on
gonna
that
be
one.
throwing it up to
They're
him.
throwing
They're
up to that guy.
Keon, though.
No, they won't. They'll
Yeah.
be throwing up to
and
Johnny
Travis
Wilson.
will be running it in too.
Keon's going to get that
No,
ball, man.
come on, man. That's their first option.
In the
He's
red
6'6"
zone, yeah.
in the red
he's-
zone.
he's
Throw it up
huge.
to him.
Yeah, yeah.
And plus, maybe he could catch a couple deep balls and moss a guy and run in for it. You never know. That's only 5 touchdowns on the year.
Yeah.
So it's 6, to hit. That's it.
Yeah.
So I like that a lot. So plus it helps for Florida State.
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
yeah.
That's true. I like it. Kevin, any
Yeah.
other plays?
Nothing else for me. I will say we forgot to touch on the Big Ten West.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Let's
with
do that.
coming out
Let's
of
do
that,
that.
but I think Iowa's going to be right there. I can already see the narrative: JJ versus Cade, Big Ten championship, whatever it is. But I think Wisconsin's going to come out of that. But Iowa, do not sleep on them. I think with Eric All, with Cade, with a very favorable schedule, they don't play Ohio State. They don't play Michigan. I think that's going to play to
Yeah,
their
but
advantage.
we're going there. Right, Parker?
Hey, I know, and guess
Yeah.
what?
We'll
Guess
be
what?
there.
I'll be in
We'll be
attendance
there.
for that
I'll be there
game.
too. I'll be there.
I'll be in
I'll be
attendance for
there.
that
I'll be there.
game. I know.
Shout out George.
Guess what? Guess what? In Michigan State, we say win or lose, we booze. So that's all that matters. So
That's true. But I think we can win that game. We're not going to get into it, though.
not going to get into that. No. But I like that, Kevin. I agree.
Yeah, Wisconsin, for sure. Big Ten West.
I agree. Wisconsin. I agree. I think Iowa's going to be right on their tail because, like you said, their schedule is very favorable, and I think they added a couple good pieces, like you said, Cade, a quarterback, which they desperately needed an upgrade to. The only problem is they kept their coordinator, which was pretty stupid.
He's got that contract incentive.
I know he's got the
though.
incentive, but my God, Theo, it's to score over 24 points a game.
Yeah, that's not that hard.
saying a lot. They scored
In the Big Ten
17.
West, too, that's not hard.
So it's like,
Yeah, that's
I
bad.
mean,
That's bad.
I think even if they hit that, I think they still go like 9-3 because their
Yeah.
defense is that elite.
Their
So,
defense is good.
Always elite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always
so,
elite.
but I like that.
defense.
So
Nothing
like-
else for me.
All right, let's get on to some national championship picks really quick. I'll make mine quick. I have Georgia at plus 220. I think they walk into the championship game. Not into the championship game. They walk into the playoff. Even if they lose the SEC championship game, they should get into the playoff. And I don't know if they're going to drop 2 in a row at the end of the year. The defense is good. I think by the time, Beck's got 10, 11, 12 games under his belt, the offense will be solid. Georgia, like Parker said, they're not rebuilding at all. They're just going to reload every year. So they're the clear favorite. That's the square pick is Georgia plus 220 to win it. My sleeper pick, and this one's going to be tough. I'm going to need something to happen to Georgia. But I love a little sprinkle on LSU plus 1100. Just to win the whole thing. To make the playoff, I don't really have any of those bets because the playoff's a little unpredictable. We can get into that in a second too. But LSU plus 1100, I think it's going to be tough because they're most likely going to have to beat Georgia twice to win it. But, if Michigan gets in and they're the 2 seed, they might play them. We're not.
Well, who do you have Georgia beating in the title? Just to touch on your Georgia.
I don't really know. That's the thing.
It's so tough.
I don't. Besides Georgia and whoever wins the Big Ten, most likely Michigan in my eyes. Besides Georgia and Michigan, I think the 3 and 4 are up.
It's going to be a crapshoot. I assume the Pac-12 champ gets one, and then I assume the 4th spot.
I don't know. I don't know if the Pac-12 champ.
Because they eat each other up as the problem.
I think Florida State or Clemson gets in.
I like that. I think Florida State's going to get in. I think
I think the ACC gets in this year.
I could see Florida State getting in there, but I think Washington's going to be at worst 11-1. I think Florida State loses to LSU, and I think they lose to Clemson at least once.
Okay.
I think they go 10-2.
Yeah. Well,
that's just. I mean, we'll see.
Right.
We'll see.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not really sure. There's a lot of options.
A lot of possibilities.
That's why, let's just say it's Georgia, Michigan, LSU, Clemson. LSU's going to have to beat Georgia in the SEC championship game, and then play probably Michigan.
Yeah.
What if they run the table but lose to Georgia in that SEC championship game? Though they'd have beaten
LSU?
Florida State and they'd have beaten Alabama.
What do you mean by making the playoff? LSU?
You're saying they lose to Georgia in the final, in the SEC final?
Like, is there any possibility that they're missing that?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
No.
God, no. Because Georgia will be the number 1.
Yeah.
Right.
And they lose to number 1. And say it's a close game, too. Absolutely not.
Right.
Even if they get blown out, I think they still make the playoff.
TCU level blown out in the championship game?
Yeah. Well, I don't know about
bad.
I don't know.
Bad.
That was
65-7.
that was sad.
Yeah. That's why before Kevin gets into his pick really quick, I just want to mention the Michigan fans, you guys have a great team. I agree. Just a reminder, the team that you lost to last year, you lost to them in the playoff. They lost.
The blueprint was out.
They lost by 60.
The blueprint was out.
60 points.
They lost
6-0.
They lost by 60 points in the championship game. And that Michigan TCU game was a good game, back and forth, two
Great
good
game.
teams.
Watch that game. Watch that game right in this room.
But I'm a firm believer there's levels, and I think the SEC is up there for a reason. That's why my 2 national championship picks are SEC teams. Kevin, you can proceed.
Thank you. And again, that TCU loss, I'm not going to forget about that one. But the blueprint was out for Georgia. They were obviously the best team. I mean, they went fucking 15-0. I have Georgia winning it all this year, and I have them beating Michigan in the title game. I know Michigan added their beat Georgia period when they started the beat Ohio period. They're 2-0 since that. Now they have the beat Georgia period. We'll see how that goes. But their offense is just so good. Their defense, they got 20 guys drafted in 2021. So last year they were pretty much all first or second year starters. Those guys got a year under their belt and they went 15-0. And now half of them are back. They lost Jalen Carter and they lost a few other guys. But dude, they have Brock Bowers, they have McConkey, they have Lovett. Their quarterback is the only thing I'm skeptical of. That's the only thing.
No Stetson.
That's the only thing.
Stetson never got enough credit as he deserved because the Georgia defense was so good. He was elite.
He was so good. He was so good.
He was a walk-on to start.
He's killing it on the Rams right now in the preseason, if anyone's wondering.
True.
But if I'm taking 2 bets, I'm taking Michigan, I'm taking Georgia. I like the LSU pick. I can't see them winning it this year. I really think it's going to come down to
It's going to be
Georgia.
difficult.
That's just my opinion.
I like it. That's respectable.
Yeah,
I don't
Very
think
respectable.
If Washington makes it, I don't think they're going to be able to compete because their defense is just
Oh,
not
no,
in the slightest. They'll make it. They'll get blown out.
Georgia, LSU, and Michigan will put up a million
on them. Yeah.
Parker?
Yeah, I got Georgia winning. I mean, I just don't. I mean, the only other way I could see Georgia losing in that playoff or championship game is if they play another SEC team in the championship game, like an Alabama or an LSU. That's it. But other than that, I just don't see them I don't see them losing to a Michigan in the championship, a Florida State in the championship, or like a Washington or a Texas. So
but you could see them losing LSU or Alabama.
In the championship game potentially, only because they
coaching
they played them previously in that year most likely. Either in the regular season or championship game. So for Alabama or LSU.
Yeah,
so
I'll just say the quarterback is.
plan.
I mean, this is
Plan.
second year JJ. He's been to the playoffs twice. I mean, third year's got to be the charm. But Michigan always loses in the title game, no matter what sport it is. I think Georgia wins it, but I would not be shocked.
Does
if
it
Michigan-
concern you, just to go back, does it concern you that the team that you lost to lost by 60 points?
Yeah, no, that's
the
like
final?
pathetic. But think about it. They returned literally everyone they added, guys. They had that
Right,
experience.
Kevin, but
No.
did they add 60
get that.
points worth of guys? That's my question.
The blueprint was out. It wasn't that bad, but I'm just saying, like, if they would have played TCU, I think that first week, I think the game's obviously a blowout. It's not 65-7 blowout. I think Michigan playing them 5 days before, they're like, okay, it's coaching. It's coaching. That's what you got to remember. It's coaching.
Kevin, if you don't play an SEC team in the semifinal game of the playoff, you win that game easily. Like you play Florida State or Washington, you win that game. If you play an SEC team, probably Georgia in the championship game, I just don't see you or really any other team beating Georgia. It's not just Michigan. Like that, like Theo said, the SEC's here. Everyone else is right here. Right now.
I think another
So,
thing you have to look at Georgia
with the
is
top
they
of
have
the top.
such a cakewalk. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah,
By the
exactly.
time you get to the final, the college football playoff, it's coaching. You have 4 teams. You don't have that many teams to game plan and. scheme for.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's going to be Georgia or Michigan. I know I just said this 5 times, but Michigan can win it, man. Michigan can win it. I don't think it's going to happen.
I
they're
personally,
they're not going to win it, but I can see them in the championship game.
I
so.
don't think they can win it.
No.
I think they have to play a perfect game to beat Georgia.
Agreed.
I'm not saying that they can't do that. The odds of that happening, I think, are much lower than Georgia. Like, it's going
Screwing
to have
up.
to be Georgia's
Screw-
worst game of the
Yeah,
year and
yeah.
Michigan's best game of the year.
Yeah.
Another thing,
Which could happen. Like, Michigan is really, really, really good. They're really good. But like I stand by this. There's just levels. Like
Can I say one thing? Since we're using the transitive property, TCU got smoked by Georgia. Ohio State should have beaten Georgia. They were winning that entire game. We smoked Ohio State.
right.
What do you say about that?
Well, I
See,
mean
now we're getting into it a whole bunch.
Right,
of
like
That's what I'm
Parker
saying.
said, they
Transitive
were-
property only works if it's kind of a fair
right.
game.
That, I mean that's fair. That's a fair point. But like Parker said, they're in the dome.
Yes,
they're ready to
thank
go.
you, thank
They
you.
just got embarrassed by
Ohio State's
by
more
Michigan
built to
again.
Second year in a row.
Yeah.
Ohio State's more built to beat a team like Georgia, Alabama than Michigan. We've seen in the last 2 years,
I agree with
especially
that.
with their offense. So,
Oh, of course.
if Marvin Harrison Jr. doesn't get hurt in that game, they might win that game.
They probably win that
If they make that
should've
kick,
won that game
they
in
make if they
general.
make the kick. I mean, they win that.
They
Literally,
were
they
up
win that
17.
game. So
They were up
I
17.
know. I mean,
Yeah.
it only because but I don't know. Whatever. We'll see. We'll see what happens this year.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
Really, really excited for this year. I mean,
I'm
like
just
we
excited.
said, this is really the last year of this, at least this era
this
of
is
college
sad.
football.
This is sad.
This 14 playoff. It's sad. This is also the last year of like the conferences battling era because we're getting into the 2-3 major conferences.
Can't wait
so.
till Michigan State travels out to L.A. 3,000 miles across the coast just to get.
Like we said, going to be a great year. The last year of true tradition in college football, in my opinion. Parker, Kevin, thank you guys.
Thank you,
again
brother.
for coming
Appreciate
on.
it.
Nah,
Yeah.
Really,
Theo.
really excited for this
Go
year.
green.
Yeah, go white.
Under 5.5.
Yeah, really appreciate it. Really quick before we get out of here, though, make sure you follow us over on Pickett at Pozios Picks. You guys know all of our plays are synced there automatically for free. We're not charging for plays around here. Everything's for free. Futures, plays from this episode, picks every single day coming up. The busy season is upon us. So make sure you follow us over there on Pickett. Also, new merch drop is coming in the next couple weeks. Make sure you get your merch. Here's our tee here. You can get it right now. All these links you can find in our Twitter bio, really at any Pickett bio, anything. Just click on that link. You'll see the merch link. So make sure you get your merch. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Pickett. Again, thank you guys for coming on, and we will see you guys in the next one. Peace.